The galaxy was vast, ancient, and orderly, or so the Galactic Accord believed. The Accord was the governing body of the stars, a coalition of advanced species that had catalogued and managed thousands of civilizations across the known universe. For millennia, they maintained a delicate balance, ensuring that no fledgling race disrupted the peace. But then, humanity appeared, a species that defied every expectation. The discovery was accidental, almost embarrassing for the Accord. In an overlooked sector of their territory, a cluster of primitive signals began disrupting interstellar communication. At first, they dismissed it as natural interference, perhaps solar activity. But as the signals grew more complex, containing patterns and rhythms that hinted at intelligence, the truth became undeniable. A sentient species was broadcasting across the cosmos, and no one in the Accord had noticed until now. This breach of protocol sparked panic. Newly discovered sentient species were meant to be carefully monitored, introduced to galactic society in stages, and nurtured like saplings in a forest. Yet, these humans had already deciphered basic galactic languages and were broadcasting messages to one of the Accord's fringe colonies. What was worse, their communications lacked subtlety, their messages were loud, bold, and persistent. The first images of humanity left the diplomatic committee baffled. Humans were unlike anything they'd encountered before. Their homeworld, Earth, orbited a star on the edge of the Milky Way, a planet so hostile it seemed improbable for advanced life to emerge there. The high gravity alone was enough to make Earth an unlikely cradle for sentience. Hurricanes, earthquakes, volcanic eruptions, and predatory ecosystems were the norm. And yet, against all odds, humans not only survived but thrived. When the diplomatic envoy finally reached Earth, they expected to meet a meek and cautious species, one humbled by their place in the galaxy. Instead, they encountered beings with an energy that bordered on reckless. Humanity welcomed the aliens with open arms and unapologetic curiosity. Their messages, once deciphered, were invitations: "Come talk to us. We're ready." The lead diplomat for the Accord's envoy, an amphibious alien named Draska Vren, described their first meeting with humans as equal parts exhilarating and terrifying. The humans, clad in formal wear and their peculiar smiles, radiated warmth and intensity. They offered handshakes, a confusing but earnest gesture of trust, and laughed too loudly. Every movement seemed slightly off, almost mechanical in its precision, as if their bodies carried the weight of their high-gravity homeworld in every step. Draska soon realized these creatures weren't fragile, they were resilient. Their hands, though smaller than most species, gripped with surprising strength. Their eyes, bright and piercing, carried an unsettling mixture of optimism and determination. It was clear they had endured challenges far beyond what most Accord species could fathom. The humans' optimism, however, was tempered by a shadow of shame. During the initial diplomatic exchange, they hesitated to speak of their history. When pressed, they reluctantly revealed tales of warfare, strife, and environmental destruction. They spoke of centuries of conflict, genocide, and near self-annihilation. Their leaders, scientists, engineers, and soldiers alike, stood before the alien delegation, their faces tight with guilt. Humanity's story was not one of peace but survival. Yet, instead of judgment, the aliens responded with curiosity. The galaxy had seen many wars, but few species had endured the scale of destruction that humanity described and come out stronger for it. Draska found himself oddly fascinated. While other species might have crumbled under such conditions, humans had evolved. They had built machines to conquer the skies, systems to harness energy, and societies that rebuilt themselves time and again. It wasn't their flaws that stood out, it was their ability to overcome them. As the delegation's visit stretched into weeks, the humans' nature became clearer. They were problem solvers, tinkering with alien technology in ways that were both alarming and ingenious. They adapted quickly, mastering concepts that took other species decades to learn. Their leaders, despite their eccentricities, demonstrated a willingness to collaborate and a fierce determination to carve their place among the stars. But behind their smiles and laughter lay a deeper truth. Humans weren't just survivors, they were warriors. It was evident in their stories, their culture, and the very fabric of their being. When they spoke of their wars, their voices carried a strange mix of sorrow and pride. They hated what they had done, but they were unashamed of their ability to do it again if survival demanded it. This duality fascinated and unnerved the Accord. Humans were strong, stronger than most species could have predicted. Their muscles, adapted to Earth's crushing gravity, gave them an edge in physical contests. But it wasn't just their bodies, their minds were sharp, their creativity boundless. And beneath it all was a relentless drive to push forward, to explore, to thrive. As the Accord prepared to integrate humanity into their ranks, Draska couldn't shake the feeling that they were standing at the edge of something monumental. Humans weren't like other species. They didn't seek acceptance or validation. They sought understanding, and a challenge. The first official contact ended with a declaration that would ripple across the galaxy: "We are humanity. We are flawed, but we are here. Let's make something extraordinary together." For the Galactic Accord, this was the beginning of a new chapter. For humanity, it was just the beginning. They had taken their first steps into the stars, and nothing. Not gravity, not war, not even the vastness of space, could stop them now. The new threat. The Galactic Accord's integration of humanity was still in its infancy when the first whispers of trouble reached them. The Tkar, a nomadic and highly aggressive warrior race, had intercepted the Accord's transmissions about Earth. Known for their brutal conquests and genetic assimilation of other species, the Tkar saw humanity not as a potential ally, but as prey. The Tkar operated on a singular philosophy: only the strong survived. They had little patience for diplomacy and even less for the bureaucratic entanglements of the Accord. For centuries, they had skirted the fringes of galactic law, taking what they wanted and leaving ruin in their wake. To the Tkar, humans were a curiosity, an anomaly worth crushing to prove their dominance. When the Accord's Council learned of the Tkar's interest in Earth, they scrambled to respond. A diplomatic delegation was sent to negotiate, but the Tkar's reply was chilling in its simplicity: "Prepare them." The Accord's representatives debated furiously. Earth was unprepared for war. Despite their resilience, humanity lacked the advanced technology and resources of the Accord's more established members. The Council considered quarantining Earth, hiding its location, or even evacuating key leaders to protect their species' future. But humanity had other ideas. During an emergency meeting with the Accord, Earth's representatives, led by General Samantha Hayes and Ambassador Ethan Kwan, made their stance clear. General Hayes, a stoic figure with years of military experience, addressed the Council with calm defiance. "We don't run from bullies," she said, her voice steady and sharp. "If the Tkar want a fight, we'll give them one." The Accord was stunned. Many of its member species had avoided direct confrontation with the Tkar for centuries, relying instead on fragile treaties and appeasement. But humanity's response was something new. They weren't interested in hiding or retreating. Instead, they proposed a counteroffensive. Ambassador Kwan elaborated: "We don't ask for protection. We ask for allies. Help us prepare, and we will defend ourselves." This bold proposal divided the Council. Some saw it as an act of reckless arrogance, while others recognized an opportunity. Humanity's willingness to fight might prove invaluable in countering the Tkar's growing influence. Reluctantly, the Accord agreed to provide limited support, offering basic defensive technologies and strategic guidance. The rest would be up to humanity. The mobilization of Earth. Humanity wasted no time. The United Earth Council issued an unprecedented order, unifying Earth's nations in a massive effort to prepare for war. Factories that once produced commercial goods were converted into shipyards. Military academies trained recruits at breakneck speed, while scientists worked around the clock to reverse engineer the technology provided by the Accord. Human engineers, known for their creative problem-solving, quickly adapted alien designs. They combined human ingenuity with alien precision, creating hybrid spacecraft that were robust, agile, and, most importantly, unpredictable. One such vessel, the SS Defiance, became a symbol of humanity's resolve. Its captain, Naomi Carter, was a fearless leader with a reputation for unconventional tactics. Carter, a former fighter pilot, embraced the chaos of war. She drilled her crew relentlessly, preparing them not just to fight, but to outthink the enemy. Meanwhile, Earth's scientists made breakthroughs that astonished even their Accord allies. They developed adaptive energy shields, capable of withstanding the Tkar's devastating plasma weaponry, and kinetic railguns that could pierce even the toughest hulls. These innovations were crude by galactic standards, but their efficiency and raw power turned heads. The Tkar advance. As Earth prepared, the Tkar fleet loomed on the edges of the system, a dark storm of warships bristling with weapons. They broadcast a single message to Earth, a chilling ultimatum. Submit or be annihilated. Humanity's response was swift and unyielding. General Hayes herself delivered the reply, broadcasting it across all frequencies for the galaxy to hear. Come and try. The Tkar, known for their arrogance, welcomed the challenge. They underestimated humanity, assuming their fledgling fleet and patchwork technology would crumble under the weight of a true military force. What they didn't account for was the sheer unpredictability of human tactics. The trap at Darren's Reach. The battle would take place in Darren's Reach, a remote system chosen for its treacherous gravitational anomalies. It was a strategic gamble by Captain Carter, who saw the anomalies as both a danger and an opportunity. The Accord advisors were skeptical. No one had ever successfully waged war in such a chaotic environment. But Carter's crew was ready to rewrite the rules. When the Tkar fleet arrived, they found the humans waiting. The SS Defiance and its small fleet of hybrid ships were outnumbered 10-1. The Tkar expected an easy victory. But as the battle unfolded, it became clear that humanity wasn't playing by the same rulebook. Carter's fleet used the gravitational anomalies to their advantage, performing maneuvers that would have torn apart conventional ships. They baited the Tkar into traps, exploiting their overconfidence and rigid tactics. The Defiance became the spearhead of the assault, weaving through enemy lines and delivering devastating blows with its railguns. For hours, the chaos raged. Human ships took heavy losses, but they refused to retreat. Their determination, combined with their unorthodox strategies, turned the tide of the battle. By the end, the once mighty Tkar fleet was in disarray, forced to retreat for the first time in centuries. Aftermath. Humanity's victory at Darren's Reach sent shockwaves across the galaxy. The Tkar, long considered unstoppable, had been defeated by a species that had only just stepped onto the galactic stage. The Accord, once skeptical of humanity, began to see them in a new light. But the cost of victory was high. Many brave men and women had given their lives to protect Earth. As humanity mourned its losses, it also celebrated its resilience. They had faced the galaxy's greatest threat, and won. For the first time, the galaxy understood what humanity was capable of. They weren't just survivors. They were fighters, builders, and dreamers. And they weren't going anywhere. The Battle of Darren's Reach. The aftermath of the Tkar retreat from Darren's Reach left humanity with a bittersweet victory. The battlefield was littered with the remains of ships, both human and alien, floating like broken monuments to the chaos that had unfolded. For the first time in centuries, the Tkar had been defeated, not by numbers or overwhelming power, but by sheer ingenuity and unrelenting determination. It was a moment of triumph, but one tempered by the heavy losses humanity had endured. Captain Naomi Carter stood on the bridge of the SS Defiance, surveying the wreckage on her viewscreen. Her crew was silent, the weight of their survival pressing down on them as the adrenaline of battle faded. The Defiance had taken a beating, its hull scarred and its systems strained to their limits, but it had survived. They had survived. And in doing so, they had proven that humanity was far more than the Tkar, or even the Galactic Accord, had anticipated. Messages of gratitude and congratulations poured in from Earth and from several Accord species who had watched the battle unfold from the safety of their diplomatic stations. But not all the responses were positive. Within the Accord Council chambers, the victory sparked heated debates. Some members argued that humanity's boldness and unpredictability made them a liability, a dangerous wildcard that could destabilize the fragile balance of power in the galaxy. Others saw in humanity a spark that the Accord had long since lost, a willingness to fight for what they believed in, to stand firm even when the odds were overwhelmingly against them. While these debates raged, humanity focused on the practical realities of their new position. The battle had exposed weaknesses in their technology and tactics, and they were determined to learn from their mistakes. Engineers and scientists began working tirelessly to repair and improve their fleet. They dissected the debris of Tkar ships, looking for any technological advantages that could be adapted to human designs. At the same time, diplomats worked to solidify the tenuous alliances they had begun to build within the Accord. For Captain Carter and her crew, however, there was little time for politics or celebration. They were sent on a series of reconnaissance missions to track the Tkar fleet and monitor their movements. The Tkar might have retreated, but they were far from defeated. Intelligence reports suggested they were regrouping, their pride wounded but their resolve hardened. The humans knew this was only the beginning. The Tkar would return, and next time, they would be prepared. As the weeks turned into months, Earth became a hub of activity. Shipyards worked around the clock, constructing new vessels with the lessons of Darren's Reach in mind. The first of these new ships, the SS Vanguard, was launched amid great fanfare. Sleek, powerful, and equipped with advanced shielding and weaponry, it symbolized humanity's determination to not just survive, but thrive in the galaxy. The Accord, too, was changing. Inspired by humanity's resilience, several member species began to question the Accord's long-standing policies of appeasement and avoidance. The Tkar had thrived on the galaxy's fear and complacency, exploiting the Accord's unwillingness to confront them directly. But humanity had shown a different path, one of defiance and courage. Slowly, a coalition began to form within the Accord, a group of species willing to stand with humanity against the Tkar. For the Tkar, humanity's victory was a humiliation they could not ignore. Their leaders, a brutal caste of warlords who ruled through fear and strength, convened to decide their next move. They viewed humanity with a mixture of anger and curiosity. These fragile-looking creatures had dared to challenge the might of the Tkar and, against all logic, had succeeded. The warlords debated whether to launch a full-scale invasion of Earth or to focus on consolidating their power elsewhere in the galaxy. But one thing was certain: humanity had earned their attention. Back on Earth, Captain Carter received her next orders. The Defiance, still battle-worn but operational, would lead a diplomatic mission to a neutral star system where several Accord species were gathering to discuss the formation of a unified defense force. Carter, known for her straightforward demeanor and sharp instincts, was an unusual choice for a diplomatic mission. But her actions at Darren's Reach had earned her respect across the galaxy, and the Accord hoped her presence would lend credibility to their efforts. The mission was fraught with tension. Many Accord species were still wary of humanity, viewing them as a disruptive force in an already unstable galaxy. Others, inspired by humanity's courage, saw this as an opportunity to forge a stronger alliance. As Carter and her crew approached the station where the summit was being held, they knew the stakes were high. Humanity's future in the galaxy, and its ability to face the Tkar, depended on the outcome of these negotiations. As the Defiance docked at the station, Captain Carter straightened her uniform and prepared to step into the unknown once again. The war with the Tkar was far from over, and the road ahead would be filled with challenges. But Carter knew one thing for certain: humanity didn't back down. They had faced the darkness of space and emerged stronger. And they were ready to do it again. Trust is earned. The docking clamps locked into place with a low rumble as the SS Defiance settled into the station's massive hangar. The station itself, known as Concordia, was a marvel of galactic engineering, a neutral meeting ground where factions from across the stars could come together to deliberate, negotiate, and occasionally argue. Captain Naomi Carter stepped onto the station's polished floors, flanked by her crew and the representatives of Earth's burgeoning Interstellar Council. Their mission was simple in theory but infinitely complex in practice: convince the Galactic Accord to forge a unified defense force to counter the growing Tkar threat. The station buzzed with activity as delegates from countless species prepared for the summit. Tall, lithe diplomats moved gracefully through the corridors, their translucent skin glimmering under the station's artificial lights. The stocky, fur-covered Lorathians, known for their engineering prowess, huddled in groups, discussing their proposals. Even the enigmatic Myrics, a species of crystalline entities who communicated through harmonic vibrations, had sent a delegation. All eyes turned toward the humans as they walked through the crowd, their presence a source of both fascination and unease. Captain Carter could feel the tension in the air. Humanity's victory at Darren's Reach had impressed many, but it had also raised questions. How could a species so new to the galactic stage defeat the Tkar where others had failed? Was it luck, or was there something about humanity that the galaxy had underestimated? For every potential ally, there was a skeptic waiting to challenge their place at the table. The summit began in the Great Hall of Concordia, a massive chamber designed to accommodate the diverse physical forms of the Accord's members. Captain Carter sat with Earth's delegation, listening as the proceedings unfolded. The first few hours were dominated by the usual bureaucratic wrangling, discussions about funding, logistics, and the allocation of resources. But as the debate shifted to the topic of forming a united defense force, the room grew quiet. It was Ambassador Ethan Kwan who broke the silence. Rising from his seat, he addressed the assembly with a calm but firm tone. "Ladies and gentlemen," he began, his words translated into the myriad languages of the Accord. "Humanity did not come here to boast of our victory or demand your support. We came here because we believe in something greater than ourselves. The Tkar are not just our enemy. They are a threat to us all. Alone, we are vulnerable. Together, we are unstoppable." His words were met with murmurs of agreement from some factions and skeptical glances from others. A Zarati envoy, her scaled form shimmering in the dim light, stood to respond. "Your bravery at Darren's Reach is commendable," she said, her voice sharp and calculated. "But bravery alone does not build alliances. Trust does. And trust must be earned." Captain Carter, sensing an opportunity, rose to speak. "Trust isn't given freely," she said, her voice carrying the weight of command. "And we don't expect it to be. But trust is built through action. When we fought at Darren's Reach, we didn't just fight for Earth. We fought to show that we're willing to stand against tyranny, no matter the cost. Give us the chance to prove ourselves, and we won't let you down." Her words struck a chord. For many in the room, the memory of the Tkar's relentless conquests was fresh, their scars still raw. The idea of standing united against such a threat resonated, even with those who were skeptical of humanity's intentions. Slowly, the tide began to turn. The next few days were a whirlwind of negotiations. Captain Carter and her team worked tirelessly, meeting with delegations from across the Accord. They shared their experiences, their strategies, and their vision for a future where the galaxy stood together as one. The humans' passion and determination began to win over even the most doubtful voices. But not everyone was convinced. A faction led by the Thalnari, a cold and calculating species that thrived on maintaining the status quo, pushed back against the idea of a unified force. "Humanity's impulsiveness is a liability," argued their representative. They act without considering the consequences, and that recklessness will bring more harm than good. It was a bold statement, but one that Carter was ready for. Recklessness and courage are not the same, she countered. We've made mistakes, yes. But we've also learned from them. And while others have stood by, paralyzed by fear, we've taken action. We don't claim to be perfect. We claim to be willing. The debate came to a head when a Mirix delegate, their crystalline form shimmering as they emitted melodic tones, proposed a compromise. Humanity would lead a joint training exercise to demonstrate their methods and strategies. If successful, the exercise would serve as a foundation for the formation of a united defense force. If not, the idea would be tabled indefinitely. It was a risky proposition, but humanity accepted without hesitation. The training exercise was scheduled to take place in a nearby system, using a simulated combat scenario designed to replicate the tactics of the Tkar. Captain Carter was tasked with leading the exercise, her reputation as a tactical genius making her the natural choice. As the summit concluded, humanity left Concordia with a mixture of hope and trepidation. They had secured an opportunity to prove themselves, but the burden of success rested squarely on their shoulders. For Captain Carter and her crew, the challenge was clear: show the galaxy that humanity was not just a force to be reckoned with, but a partner worth fighting alongside. As the SS Defiance departed the station, Carter stood on the bridge, gazing out at the stars. The path ahead was uncertain, but one thing was clear: humanity had taken its first real steps toward earning the galaxy's trust. And they would stop at nothing to ensure they succeeded. The Unity Project. The simulated battlefield was a sprawling expanse of asteroid fields, gravity wells, and electromagnetic storms, designed to mimic the unpredictable conditions of real combat against the Tkar. This training exercise was more than a demonstration, it was humanity's trial by fire in the eyes of the Galactic Accord. For Captain Naomi Carter and the crew of the SS Defiance, it was a chance to prove that their victory at Darren's Reach wasn't a fluke. Dozens of ships from Accord member species participated, each bringing its own strategies and technologies. Some, like the precision-engineered ships of the Icalta, emphasized maneuverability and efficiency. Others, like the heavily armored vessels of the Lorathians, relied on brute strength and endurance. The humans, with their hybrid ships and unorthodox tactics, were the wild card. The exercise began with a simulated Tkar fleet emerging from hyperspace, their formations modeled after real battle data. The task was simple in theory: neutralize the enemy and protect civilian assets represented by holographic markers scattered across the field. But the Tkar were nothing if not relentless, and the simulation's AI was programmed to mimic their aggressive tactics with brutal accuracy. As the opposing fleets clashed, it became clear that the exercise was more chaotic than any of the Accord species had anticipated. The simulated Tkar ships exploited every weakness they could find, targeting isolated vessels and overwhelming them with sheer numbers. The different Accord fleets, accustomed to operating independently, struggled to coordinate their efforts. Captain Carter's voice cut through the chaos like a blade. Defiance to all ships: fall back and regroup at Grid Delta 4. We're stronger together than we are alone. Her command carried an authority that left no room for hesitation. One by one, the scattered ships began to converge on the designated point. From the bridge of the Defiance, Carter and her crew orchestrated a counterattack. They analyzed the Tkar's simulated movements, identifying patterns and weaknesses that others had overlooked. Using the natural hazards of the battlefield to their advantage, they lured enemy ships into gravity wells and ambush points. What truly set the humans apart, however, was their adaptability. While the other fleets adhered rigidly to their strategies, the humans adjusted on the fly, exploiting every opportunity. Their hybrid ships, designed with a mix of human improvisation and alien precision, performed maneuvers that seemed reckless to the Accord observers but achieved stunning results. The turning point came when the SS Vanguard, one of Earth's newest vessels, executed a daring maneuver to protect a Lorathian cruiser pinned down by enemy fire. The Vanguard's captain, Marcus Lee, pushed his ship to its limits, diverting power from non-essential systems to the shields and engines. The move left his ship vulnerable, but it bought enough time for the Defiance to launch a coordinated strike that neutralized the enemy formation. By the end of the exercise, the simulated Tkar fleet was in disarray. The unified effort, spearheaded by humanity's leadership, had turned the tide. As the final enemy ship was destroyed, a cheer erupted across the communication channels. The exercise was a resounding success. Back on Concordia, the Accord's Council reviewed the results. The data spoke for itself. Humanity's strategies had not only saved countless ships but had also unified the disparate fleets into a cohesive force. For the first time, the Council saw the potential of a united defense force. But the real victory came in the form of trust. The Lorathians, once skeptical of humanity's capabilities, formally pledged their support for the initiative. The Icalta, impressed by the humans' adaptability, offered to share advanced navigation technology. Even the Myrics, who rarely took sides in galactic politics, voiced their approval through a series of harmonious tones that resonated through the council chamber. The Unity project gained momentum. Plans were drawn up for the construction of a massive space station that would serve as the command center for the defense force. Dubbed Haven, the station would be a symbol of cooperation and a beacon of hope for all member species. Humanity, as the driving force behind the project, was tasked with overseeing its development. For Captain Carter, the success of the exercise was a vindication of everything humanity had worked for. But she knew that the Tkar would not sit idly by. Their defeat at Darren's Reach and the growing alliance among Accord species would only provoke them further. The war was far from over, and the stakes were higher than ever. As the first construction drones began assembling Haven in orbit around a distant star, Carter stood on the bridge of the Defiance, reflecting on the road ahead. Humanity had proven itself capable of standing with the galaxy's greatest powers, but now they faced an even greater challenge, sustaining that unity in the face of an enemy that thrived on division. The stars outside her viewport seemed endless, a reminder of the vast unknown that lay ahead. But Carter wasn't afraid. Humanity had faced the darkness before and emerged stronger. They would do so again, not just for themselves, but for the galaxy that now looked to them for leadership. The betrayal. The massive skeleton of Haven Station glimmered in the void, its incomplete structure already a testament to the power of unity. Teams from dozens of species worked tirelessly, blending their technologies and skills to build what was rapidly becoming the galaxy's most ambitious project. Humanity led the charge, their designs focused not just on function but on resilience, a fortress and a sanctuary. Haven was to be a symbol of hope, a place where the galaxy could stand together against threats like the Tkar. But unity is fragile, and not all shared the vision of a united galaxy. Whispers of dissent had spread since the Unity project began gaining traction. Some factions within the Accord viewed Haven as a threat, fearing that centralizing military power would disrupt the delicate balance that had kept the galaxy from descending into chaos for centuries. Others envied humanity's sudden rise, resenting their influence and leadership. Among these malcontents was a shadowy alliance of species, their motives hidden but their actions increasingly bold. The betrayal began subtly, with delays and miscommunications in the station's construction. Parts shipments were rerouted mysteriously, critical systems experienced inexplicable malfunctions, and rumors of sabotage began to circulate. Captain Naomi Carter and her crew aboard the SS Defiance, now stationed near Haven to oversee its defense, were among the first to suspect something deeper at play. Carter's suspicions were confirmed when a scheduled shipment of advanced shielding components from the Icalta never arrived. An investigation revealed that the transport ship had been ambushed and destroyed in a remote system. The evidence pointed to Tkar raiders, but something didn't add up. The Tkar rarely operated with such precision. They thrived on brute force and chaos, not surgical strikes. With permission from the Accord Council, Carter led the Defiance on a mission to investigate. The trail led them to an uncharted system, where they discovered a hidden base staffed not by the Tkar, but by agents from several Accord species. The base was brimming with stolen supplies, weapons, and data, all meant to undermine Haven's construction. The betrayal was undeniable. Members of the very council that had sanctioned the Unity project were working to dismantle it. The Defiance narrowly escaped an ambush at the base, returning to Haven with evidence of the conspiracy. The revelation sent shockwaves through the Accord. Trust, already tenuous, was shattered. Accusations flew as member species turned on one another, blaming rivals and old enemies for the sabotage. Haven, once a symbol of hope, now teetered on the brink of collapse. But humanity refused to let it fall. Ambassador Ethan Kwan addressed the Accord in an emergency session, his voice unwavering. "This betrayal is not just an attack on Haven or humanity," he said. "It is an attack on all of us. We cannot allow fear and distrust to destroy what we've built. If we fall apart now, the Tkar will win without firing a shot." Captain Carter, too, took action. With the help of her crew and trusted allies within the Accord, she launched a series of counter-sabotage operations. They uncovered hidden caches of stolen materials, neutralized sleeper agents within Haven's workforce, and exposed the shadowy alliance behind the conspiracy. The turning point came when Carter, in a bold maneuver, infiltrated a secret meeting of the conspirators aboard a neutral trading station. Disguised and armed with intelligence gathered from months of investigation, she confronted the leaders of the conspiracy. "You wanted to destroy Haven because you feared change," she said, her voice echoing in the chamber. "But change is coming, whether you like it or not. The only question is whether you'll stand with us or be left behind." The conspirators were arrested, their network dismantled. But the damage had already been done. Haven's construction had been delayed, and the Accord was more divided than ever. The Tkar, sensing weakness, began massing their forces near the Accord's borders. The galaxy braced for war. Yet, amidst the chaos, there was a spark of hope. Humanity's unyielding determination and swift action had prevented the conspiracy from succeeding entirely. The trust they had earned from their allies deepened, and for the first time, species that had once been rivals began to see the value of standing together. As the final support beams of Haven Station were locked into place, Captain Carter stood on the observation deck, watching as the station came alive with activity. It was far from perfect, and the challenges ahead were immense. But the galaxy had taken a step toward unity, however faltering. The Tkar were coming, and the Accord was not ready. But humanity had shown time and again that they thrived under pressure. Carter clenched her fists, her resolve firm. The galaxy might not trust one another yet, but they trusted humanity to lead the fight. The stars outside seemed darker, the void more menacing. But Haven stood as a beacon, and humanity as its defender. The Tkar would come. And they would find that humanity didn't just survive betrayal, they thrived in spite of it. Haven Station stood completed, a gleaming colossus in the void. Its corridors buzzed with life, its control centers coordinated fleets, and its chambers hosted the discussions of leaders from across the galaxy. For all its beauty and potential, it was born of turmoil, battered by sabotage, betrayal, and the looming shadow of the Tkar. Now, it faced its ultimate test. The Tkar fleet had emerged from hyperspace in overwhelming force, a tide of warships darkening the stars. They came not to conquer but to annihilate. For centuries, the Tkar had operated under one principle: destroy those who dare to resist. Their defeat at Darren's Reach had enraged them, and Haven, as the symbol of the Accord's fragile unity, had become their ultimate target. The Accord's fleets, now united under the Haven Defense Force, scrambled to respond. Ships of every design and origin surged into formation, their captains coordinating through Haven's command center. At the heart of it all was Captain Naomi Carter aboard the SS Defiance, leading the charge. The battle began with a ferocity that eclipsed anything the galaxy had ever seen. The Tkar's brute strength clashed with the Accord's diverse tactics, creating a maelstrom of destruction. Haven's shields glowed as they absorbed the onslaught, but it was clear they wouldn't hold forever. Human ingenuity once again proved to be the deciding factor. Captain Carter, using Haven's advanced sensor arrays, identified a critical weakness in the Tkar's fleet, an over-reliance on centralized command ships. While other Accord fleets had encountered this before, none had been able to exploit it. But Carter had a plan. She coordinated a strike team of the fastest and most agile ships, including the SS Vanguard, to infiltrate the Tkar's formation. The mission was suicidal, the odds grim, but humanity had made a name for itself by defying impossible odds. The team slipped through the chaos, using decoys and electromagnetic countermeasures to avoid detection. The Vanguard, captained by Marcus Lee, delivered the critical blow. With its railguns powered to maximum, it tore through the Tkar's command ship, shattering their coordination. The resulting confusion spread like wildfire. The Tkar's once unstoppable force began to fracture, their ships colliding and their formations breaking apart. Back on Haven, Ambassador Ethan Kwan rallied the Accord's leaders. "This is our moment," he declared, his voice ringing out across the station's comm channels. "We stand together, or we fall apart. Humanity has shown you what's possible. Now, let's finish this." The rallying cry spurred the remaining fleets into action. The Accord, once fractured and hesitant, fought as one. The Icalta's precision strikes, the Lorathians' sheer firepower, and humanity's relentless adaptability converged into a symphony of resistance. As the battle raged, Haven became more than a station, it became a symbol. Messages of support flooded in from distant colonies and neutral factions, inspired by the sight of the Accord standing united. Even species that had remained on the sidelines began mobilizing their fleets, sending reinforcements to the battle. The turning point came when the Defiance, battered but unbroken, led the final charge. With its weapon systems depleted, Carter ordered her crew to improvise, using the ship's damaged hull to ram through the remaining Tkar vessels. The move was audacious, reckless, and devastatingly effective. The Tkar, unable to recover from their losses, began a full retreat. The battle was won, but the cost was immense. Haven's hull was scorched, its defenses nearly drained, and countless lives had been lost. Yet, amidst the wreckage, there was a sense of triumph. The Tkar had been defeated not by a single species, but by the collective will of the galaxy. In the aftermath, the Accord convened on Haven for a historic declaration. The Unity Defense Force, proposed by humanity and forged in the fires of war, was formally established. Captain Carter, Ambassador Kwan, and countless others were hailed as heroes. Humanity, once an outsider, had become the heart of the galaxy's greatest alliance. Their resilience, creativity, and relentless spirit had not only secured their survival but had reshaped the galaxy itself. Haven, once a fragile dream, now stood as a monument to what could be achieved when species put aside their differences and worked together. Years later, Captain Carter stood on the observation deck of the rebuilt Defiance, now a flagship of the Unity Defense Force. The stars outside seemed brighter, the void less foreboding. Humanity's legacy was clear, not one of domination, but of inspiration. They had shown the galaxy what was possible when strength was tempered with cooperation, and courage with compassion. The Tkar threat would linger, as would countless other challenges in the uncharted expanse of space. But humanity had proven one thing beyond doubt: they didn't just adapt to the galaxy, they changed it. Together with their allies, they faced the stars not with fear, but with hope. As the Defiance prepared for its next mission, Carter smiled faintly. The galaxy was vast, and their work was far from over. But humanity was ready. They always were.